The High Court has heard that the former head of Haringey Children's Services, who was sacked in the wake of the Baby P case, is financially ruined and will never work again. Sharon Shoesmith is appealing against her dismissal. Here's Sky's David Bowden.
Sharon Shoesmith lost her job because the department she ran allowed a situation to develop which meant baby Peter Connolly lost his life. Baby P, as the toddler became known, died as a result of multiple and horrific injuries inflicted by his mother Tracy Connolly, her lover Stephen Barlow and their lodger Jason Owen. But Peter was on Haringey's child protection register and was visited regularly by social workers, yet no one stepped in to save his life. Baby P's death caused a national outcry and the Children's Secretary Ed Balls was forced to act.
Haringey Council will now remove the current Director of Children's Services from her post with immediate effect. This kind of failure should not be rewarded with compensation or payoffs.
Though Shoesmith was formally sacked by the council, it was the outcome of Ofsted's investigation into Haringey's child protection services, ordered by Ed Balls, that led him to use his emergency powers to force her out. Her lawyers claim that Ofsted acted unlawfully by not allowing Shoesmith to have her say. Sharon Shoesmith appealed to councillors here at Haringey to be given her job back, but they said no. As a result, her lawyer says she's unemployable, is facing financial ruin, and her health has suffered. Her legal team is arguing that the council breached its own guidelines when it sacked her, and that Ed Balls was under the influence of media pressure when he called for her to be dismissed. But her case is far from cut and dried.
Even if she succeeds in her claim and shows that Ed Bull took media pressure into account improperly, it won't necessarily help her, because all that happens is the court will tell Haringey to take the decision again. So Haringey can still say, we're going to dismiss you. They can still say, we're going to dismiss you without notice. It could be a very sterile and hollow victory for her.
Shoesmith, shame on you!
And for many, Sharon Shoesmith's stewardship of the Baby P tragedy demands she gets nothing in compensation.
David's at the High Court now. Evening, David. Shoesmith was pretty widely vilified at the time. Does she now, in retrospect, have a decent case?
Well, the case appears to be built around natural justice and the fact that this was all forced through in unseemly haste, largely driven by public opinion and politics. You may remember that in November last year there was an exchange between David Cameron and Gordon Brown at PMQs saying that simply the government must take over Haringey and she should be forced out. And I think what the case is here is that all the procedures were put to one side. Ed Balls stepped to the front and said, right, this woman's got to go. A week later the council verified it and she was out on her ear with no payoff. What she's saying and her council is saying is, look, there are rules, there are regulations, you have to stick to them, and just because it's all over the papers, all over the television, you can't kick it into the long grass. This case, scheduled for 3 days, it's unlikely we'll get a judgment even then. It could be some time before the judge decides, Jeremy.
Thanks very much indeed.